Yeah, so I think my first answer was going to be lorem ipsum, but that got taken. My second one was going to be trends and avoiding those and doing it because it looks cool. So I suppose I'll go for my third answer, which would be we have a problem, I suppose, where you have a large site, you're looking for consistency throughout the site, you set up all these rules, and actually, in the context of that particular page or situation, that rule doesn't apply or can't work. So I guess it's always looking for that context over consistency and trying to sort of get that balance. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. And sometimes, essentially what I'm trying to say is, you make rules and you should probably break them. I think it's one way of looking at it.
I was pretty much going to say tolerance and freedoms and so forth, but I think overall is dropping in content as an afterthought or functionality. I mean, I think the classic example is always the social media button, like set that gets dropped in there and they look awful, and you know that's a decision by a marketing manager at some point. He's going, well, we need to get them in there, so we should do it. And rather than designing them up to be a part of the same experience as the site and to give the same visual feedback and the same visual tone, they just drop little elements in there just because it's a nice thing to do. It's a bit exciting. So I think that's a particular bugbear of me.
Yeah, I think all these things, well, yeah, most of these things have a kind of thread of, you know, designers need to have empathy and for the users, and I think a big problem is that designers don't tend to actually meet the users. So throughout user testing, the designer should be sitting there as well to see, well, to just meet the people that are using the site, because you can't design anything for anyone unless you know them really. It's like you wouldn't design a car if you've never driven. So yeah, I think that's kind of a big issue really, and I think everyone benefits from that.
I think I'll say some practical ones then. Non-named layers in Photoshop documents. Jesus Christ, they're horrible. People that don't consider users that don't turn on JS. So what happens? No idea. Version control, make sure that that is something that a designer needs to understand straight away. And yeah, generally I think making assumptions without any sort of concrete evidence, a bit like what Dave's saying, people make too many assumptions about, oh, a user wants to do this, or this should go there because of this. Well, how do you know that? Let's actually get some concrete evidence in there and work it out and do it properly.
It's interesting what you say about version control. If you are going to use version control with design on the front end, just try and make it as easy for them to use as possible. I mean, we use Git, and as much as I enjoy using the timeline, I over time on the terminal to use it. I much prefer the GUI version for Mac. So if you've got a developer that knows about Git, get all that crap out of the way and let them deal with that, so there's less of the bugbear for the developers. One thing I hate is when Git comes back with huge conflicts and other conflicts, and it just stresses me out. But if you can take away that kind of fluff from the designer, then it'll make their lives a lot easier. Talking to anyone that uses Git is the left.
Sorry, the last Photoshop one, it's another pain. Don't flatten layers, just please leave it editable. Thank you.
So if anyone couldn't hear Paul, he was just saying that basically designers aren't really up to using Git or SVN, so
don't use SVN, use Git, don't use SVN.
Yeah. So we're rapidly running out of time, and so I just want to finish off by asking, for any budding designers or designers looking for pearls of wisdom, is there perhaps a tip or a technique or a tool that you guys can't live without, or something that you'd like to share with the rest of us?
I guess the tool I can't live without really is Google Reader and Reader on the iPad, because it's just a stream of inspiration and knowledge. And I answered this on Quora, I think that's how I pronounced it, a little while ago. I think the key thing as a designer is to realise that tools don't make a designer. Knowing Photoshop like an absolute god is not going to make you a better designer, it will make you really good at Photoshop.
Yeah, I think my kind of advice for any sort of young designer coming into it, I think would be to get a basic understanding of design principles before they start looking at the stuff that's coming out now, so to speak. So rather than learning new skills, go back and learning old skills. So like typography before jQuery, so to speak. You see the amount of sort of designers coming through that are doing all these little fancy techniques and little tricks, yet they have no idea about leading and kerning and all that kind of thing. Really frustrates me. And I think, yeah, there's some great books out there on typography and grid layouts and stuff like that that I think should be distributed to all young designers on Dribble.
A few things. Firstly, don't look just on the web for inspiration. Go out there, sit in a park, go to an art gallery, look everywhere, look at how things are made, ask why and how things are made all the time. Practice as much as possible. There'll be a point, I remember when I first started out, there was a point where I just thought all my designs were shit. If you can get through that, then it's far better at the end of it. It's fantastic. Learn about basic principles like, Kev said, I do UI, so I studied huge books on interaction and UI design and continually practiced. And whenever I saw something new on the web, I was like, oh, that's interesting. How can I replicate that? Where can I use that? But yeah, create stuff, collaborate with as many people as possible, and kind of just get out there and do as much as possible.
There was I went to a conference a little while ago, and there was a poster going around that said the person who never made a mistake never made anything. I think that's actually really valid. Is that the web's there to sort of get broken and play around with stuff, and and just explore it, and then you learn and keep on going with that kind of stuff. And I suppose the other one is the equivalent of writer's block, but don't just sit and stare in front of your Mac, or look at the web looking for answers. If you're struggling, pair up with someone, chat with someone, communicate, have a sit down and run through something, and ideas will come from that.
Yeah, just kind of really agree with all of that. Get involved, start doing it. There's no reason why not to. We've already said the barriers to entry aren't massive at the moment, so this is a perfect time to get involved. I would say immerse yourself in the world, but don't make it your be-all and end-all. There's nothing duller than somebody who only ever talks about design, and that again links back to the idea of empathy that we're talking about. If you're a designer talking with other designers all day, you're only going to meet people who agree with you, and to do good design and make the mistakes, as we said that we try important to, talking to people who agree with you isn't the way to discover them.
I agree with that. Shit. I'm Joe. I think when we have people doing work experience and stuff, they sometimes can have like really good designs, but can't talk through how they got there. And there's a quote, the obligatory quote, which is "design is thinking visualised," which I think is really good, because it is a kind of thought process. And I think unless you can talk about that thought process, it's really hard to kind of sell your work internally, because the first thing someone's going to ask is, "That looks nice. Why is that there?" So learn how to present your work. You'll know why you made certain decisions, but be aware of those and be able to explain your rationale, because sometimes the thinking behind something is as important as the end product.
So thanks very much, chaps. This is sort of signals the end of your ordeal almost. Thanks very much to you guys as well for sitting and listening so attentively. Had quite a few questions via the Twitter stream, and obviously not going to have time because we all need to get back to work. But thanks to Jim and Adrian, Monica, Si, well, there's Stuart. There's too many of you to mention really, but if I pick one at random, here we go. The guy with the ginger beard is well fit. Can I buy him a beer in the bar afterwards? Yes, you can. That's me, Matt Seward from Killer 75. Thanks ever so much to the lads. Unfortunately, they can't stay, so I'll see you downstairs.